Good afternoon and welcome into CalGuard Gymnasium here on the campus of Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas, as we have the Trinity University women's basketball team coming in at 5-4, 1-0 in conference play, hosting the Schreiner University Mountaineers. The Mountaineers 2-8, 0-1 in SCAC play. For the Mountaineers, it'll be Kiara Green, Sky Thomas, Madison Parham, Kaya Bradshaw, and Tamia Moody. For the Tigers, it'll be Josie Napoli, Kylie Minter, Bailey Timmons, Elaine King, Sky O'Rourke. As we are just about ready for tip-off, I am filling in for Reed Rosales. Josh Michigamba here on the call for you, along with Annika Saenz. Annika, welcome back. And how is the 2025 treating you?
Oh, it's been great. I've been back home for a while now. Got to commentate that Leslie Robinson Classic, and I got to see some good basketball a couple weeks ago as the women hosted Illinois Wesleyan and ETBU. Both great games, fun weekend of basketball, and I'm excited to see what this week has to offer as well.
And ETBU, a common opponent between both Trinity and Schreiner, as the first attempt of the day up and off the back of the rim. Trinity controls the board, and we are well underway here in the first quarter. The near side wing, that's going to be Bailey Timmons. And back over, finding Kylie Minter. Kicks out far side for Napoli. Napoli's going to take it inside. Her little turnaround jump shot won't fall. And the rebound to the Mountaineers, who are going to give it a run. And a quick spot three coming in for Kiara Green.
That was something that we really saw a couple weeks ago with Illinois Wesleyan. They had a lot of transition threes, something that Trinity is well used to as well. They love to shoot the three, live and die by it sometimes, but nonetheless, it's a lot of fun to see.
Napoli misses a three. Minter follows it up with a missed jumper of her own. And back running Sky Thomas is going to look inside, and Tamia Moody is going to put the first 2 points on the board here for the Mountaineers, and they take the early lead. Very quick pace to this one as we get started. That's Bailey Timmons drawing us level.
Obviously, Trinity coming back in with their full court press. Usually looks like a man, but Schreiner's answering right back. In that last possession, you saw that they picked up in what looked like a diamond formation. And then as soon as they crossed half court, two people were headed right towards Bailey Timmons.
As you mentioned, it's been a week since Trinity saw action on the court as they took on East Texas Baptist back on December 29th. The three is going to rattle in for Josie Napoli.
Those shooters bounce right there.
A soft rim here to start for her. She's got the game-high 3 points.
She just came off of a good game, too, against ETBU. I want to say she had 13 points there. And we talk about good game. The last time Kylie Minter played Schreiner, she had 21 points. That's how she started off her SCAC conference this year. But it was well matched by Madison Parham, who had 23 points for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, that was a 90-72 Trinity victory back on December the 10th. Loose ball rebound is going to kick out to the Mountaineers, and taking it all the way is going to be Sky Thomas off the pass from Green. Cut the lead down to 1. So inside movement. Trinity really hasn't gone down to the low block yet today, and they finally work it into the paint. Timmons looks underneath, finds Elaine King, and she'll draw the contact.
Some good high-low motion by Bailey Timmons hitting Elaine King, who had great position. I thought she was going to finish on that right side, but found her on the opposite side of the rim. Attempting a reverse, but thankfully got fouled. Fouling is one thing that we also saw a lot of about a week ago. Both teams headed into foul counts pretty early on. I know the game ETBU played against Illinois Wesleyan, a couple people fouled out for ETBU as well. So physical game all around.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the same officiating crew from that game, but I see a lot of familiar faces here from that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
King knocks down 1 of 2, and then the quick steal here from Timmons, and she puts in the easy layup, and the Tigers out to a 5-point lead at 9-4.
one thing that's going to be really crucial for the Tigers today is when you get stops on defense and you have opportunities in transition, you just need to take care of the ball. And you don't have to push it and attempt a shot within the first 10 seconds of the shot clock, but make sure that you just get a good attempt.
Madison Parham, who was called for the foul earlier, with the rebound, but she gives it away on the pass. And that'll be Kylie Mentor back in action. Did not factor in the ETBU game, but her first points back on the board here as 11-4. We're going to take a quick timeout at 6:41 here in the first quarter.
Yeah, and those turnovers that you see on the screen are all forced turnovers coming from that Tiger press.
Yeah, Schreiner coming in number 48 in the country, top 10% roughly, in steals of their own, but Trinity just ahead of them and just ahead of them in conference action as well. So the top two in the SCAC in steals. Trinity coming in nationally ranked 41 overall. And that's total steals, so maybe a little bit of an adjustment because both teams have played 9-10 games. Maybe some schools haven't made that many attempts yet so far. I know certain schools don't play a whole lot over the break period, but
yeah,
two of the best teams in the country here for stealing the ball.
Yeah, and we saw that a lot. I know we keep mentioning about a week ago, but that game against Illinois Wesleyan, it was a combined 50 turnovers. Illinois Wesleyan's average was 13 turnovers that game, and Trinity made them turn the ball over 25, 26 times in that game, which is something they weren't used to, but obviously that press was a big part of it, and their tenacity on defense was also a big part of it.
Yeah, and that press, you mentioned other teams not used to it. Coach Cameron Hill, very used to it. And he's been doing that since he arrived on campus. And
yeah, the press is kind of infamous.
It's one of the things that I would use to describe Trinity women's basketball is you're going to get pressed.
Yeah.
Nice little crossover step back three is knocked down from Sky Thomas, and the lead cut to 1. Or excuse me, the lead at 11-7. Cutting the lead in half. And a beautiful backdoor pass there. Great to see it from Bailey Timmons finding Sky O'Rourke underneath. And O'Rourke knocks down the layup. And once again, that press getting the turnovers, leading to easy baskets, or in this case, drawing the foul.
I think a big part of that is having Bailey Timmons on the ball. She's super athletic. And as soon as an inbounder comes in, that's usually what she'll end up doing. She'll end up taking that inbounder, and the person that's playing defense midline is just going to be reading everybody's eyes around there.
Foul, the first for Bradshaw, second on the Mountaineers so far. Flucked it out, and the shot clock at 28. This is King working over to Mentor, and as we said, Mentor didn't play in the last game. Good to have her back. And I think that was one of the reasons why Trinity did not take the victory against ETBU. They looked really good in the game before against Illinois Wesleyan, a nationally ranked team. She got hurt in that game, missed the ETBU game, and good to see that it's not a lingering, long-lasting effect. And a nice little Euro step here once again. Sky Thomas is taking over now with 7 points.
We saw a possession ago from Kylie Minter and Elaine King. That possession started with Elaine King at the top of the key. And, I mean, that girl has just been a constant this season. She's been a great facilitator from the high post area. And she had a little pick and roll with Kylie Minter, and it was good to see her become an offensive threat. I think she's very capable of shooting from the mid-range and obviously making decisions once the defense collapses on her. So I want to see more of that coming into SCAC play.
Sky O'Rourke, the last layup, putting the Tigers back up 6 as we approach the midway point of the quarter. Good ball movement here from the Mountaineers, but on the drive inside, Green's going to lose it, and it leads to a transition basket here for Josie Napoli.
It was a great cross-court pass by Sky O'Rourke, who got it up to Josie Napoli, and that was a great reverse finish with her inside hand. She's always been great at using her body, especially being one of the shorter players on the court, but always makes sure to shield the ball well, especially with her shoulder or body.
Definitely not afraid to get in there and be somewhat of an instigator.
Yeah. We see Elaine King doing what Elaine King does best, always a big defensive threat. It was a really hard loss for them in that Illinois Wesleyan game when she fouled out, and she has such a defensive presence, and as soon as she got out, it was one of those things where Illinois Wesleyan definitely had a sigh of relief, but she's leading the team right now with blocks, I think. As a game against Schreiner, she may have had 8 blocks initially, and then we saw her again with that defensive effort playing Illinois Wesleyan and ETBU, and I'm sure we'll see the same thing tonight and tomorrow when they play Hardin-Simmons.
Yep, that game tomorrow, 6 o'clock, according to our schedule. I think Hardin-Simmons' website has it for 5:30, but pretty sure we're tipping at 6. And that was a whistle under 5, but the earlier Schreiner Mountaineer timeout is going to negate the media timeout, as that's converted 2 on the first timeout. Good ball movement, good rotation, and the 3 from Belle Martinez, who just checked in. We'll reset the players on the floor here in just a moment, but the action going very swiftly. And finally a ball out of bounds. It'll be Schreiner ball on the court. It'll be Markesia Wingwood and Parham still out there, joined by Bree Sosa and let's see, JD Zamora and Belle Martinez now into the contest.
And then for Trinity, we see Natalie Greenwood entering the chat, and Livy Savageau, who both of them had great presence against Illinois Wesleyan. Savageau not playing like a freshman by any means. It's a very confident shooter. You know, we saw her shoot that initial shot a couple possessions ago from that left wing, and once again, very capable shooter, mid-range, extended 3, gets to the basket well. Another great facilitator.
Wingwood took that one up over Ivory Scott, knocked it in, and very quickly going back the other way, it is going to be Savageau going to the foul line for the and one opportunity.
I think I spoke that one into existence. You know how every time Reed and I will go, oh, that's an analytics jinx? Every time and we're talking about free throw percentages, and then they just clank one. This is the opposite.
Yeah, this is playing the odds, though. Savageau getting to the rim and starting to, like you said, really become quite a prolific shooter, scorer here for Trinity. And she's quickly onto the board with 3 points.
Jalen Martin enters with Jivy Cáceres for the Trinity Tigers as well. I mean, I think Jivy Cáceres reminds me of our men's Zach Finn. He always leads that press, and he's always, you know, a little heckler on defense. So something that will always be consistent with Jivy Cáceres.
Martin thought about taking that one, but realized it was over her head. Sosa will retain possession. Under 3 here in the first quarter. Top of the key. Working on Greenwood and knocks down the triple.
She said, hand down, man down.
And Greenwood was laying off on defense, so not necessarily a wide open look, but good enough. And answering the call, Cáceres with her first shot, and it goes in from downtown as well.
And that was a connection from Livy Savageau. I'm going to call that one the Livy Jivy connection as they grow up together in college, because they're both freshmen. So,
yeah, nice cross-court pass. Sometimes dangerous, but that one worked out really well. And then the ball deflecting around and then finding its way to Elaine Ortega and making her first attempt go in. It's about a high shooting game ever since we had the timeout. They were shooting 28% were the Mountaineers, and now basically up to 53% as a team.
yeah, I think a big part of that is they're not letting the Trinity defense out of that press setup. So it feels like Trinity's getting into a motion or trying to settle down into a half-court defense, and they're just not doing it.
Martin felt a little rushed on that one. Ball's going to roll around, still be, now we'll get a foul call, but it was Natalie Greenwood coming in to pick the ball up after it was bounced around for a little bit. The lead only 4 here for the Tigers, and it feels like they've been comfortably in the lead, but a nice 3 of their last 3 for Schreiner has put them right back into this one.
Yeah, and we talked about this once again a couple weeks ago, men's and women's. You want to play mini games within this larger game of a quarter or larger game of a half. You have to get stops and you have to convert on those stops. And without stops, I mean, defense definitely wins games, and everybody's heard this. But making sure that you're securing the ball, making turnovers. We saw a couple of those forced turnovers when we headed into that media timeout, or regular timeout, excuse me, by the Schreiner coach. But you have to force turnovers and you have to convert on them, especially in transition.
Yeah, and even if you don't get the turnover, you've now forced another timeout here from Schreiner. And that will be their second. They get 4 in the game and quickly down now to just half that allotment with 1:50 left in the first quarter. Trinity shooting 9 of 21 compared to 8 of 15 for the Mountaineers, but they are 5 of 5 at the line. Schreiner yet to get to the free throw opportunities. And so that's basically been the difference so far, is Trinity getting to the line, knocking down the free throws.
Yeah, and I find when Trinity is really aggressive on offense and they're seeing that ball go through the net, the better it is for them on offense. I know that they can find themselves in a couple ruts, especially when the three-pointer isn't going in for them. But making sure that they stay aggressive is definitely going to be a point of focus to finish out this game and to finish out the rest of the SCAC season.
And they will get officially a travel call.
That's another forced turnover. That's 7 now.
7 to none. It's that and the free throws, the turnovers. Yeah. But that's forcing Schreiner into the things that they don't want to do comfortably. If they can get the ball across midcourt, and they've done that pretty well in transition, but they haven't been able to do it off of a inbounds play very much.
Yeah.
Natalie Greenwood with a very nice drop step in the paint.
That's some fancy footwork. She's pretty good at back to the basket. We saw it a couple times against Illinois Wesleyan, especially in transition. She had a really pretty spin around move. I think in that possession they may have called it for something else, but
Ortega in the right place. Nice little pass in from Sosa. And the lead back to 6. Savageau pops from the free throw line, no good. And Sosa with the board, looking to dribble out of it, finally throws it across, finds Martinez, and look to take possession here under a minute, maybe a little 2-for-1 action. 3 goes up off the side of the rim, and it'll be Greenwood securing for the Tigers. They could also do a little 2-for-1 if they're quick. And they are. Ivory Scott knocking down the 3 in a 30-point outburst here in the first quarter for the Tigers.
High-scoring game. That'll be 8 turnovers right there.
And with the layup, Saris with the 2 points. That brings her to 5. So forget the 2-for-1 ideas. I mean, there's so much movement and transition in this game. It might be 4 or 5-for-1 here under a minute to play.
Yeah. And JV Cáceres just got called for the foul at midline.
Just the Tigers' 3rd as a team, and 4 fouls for Schreiner as a team. So that shows you in the free throws, Schreiner fouling on the shot attempts, and Trinity with their pressure defense. That's where they've been called for most of their fouls.
Yeah, and there have been a couple times, especially in transition. I know that Josie Napoli early on, maybe in the first 1 or 2 minutes, had the opportunity to foul in transition, but obviously she knows that her team needs her late in the game, especially if it is a close one. So she just kind of let that one go a little bit.
Moody with a step back 3 from the top of the key. And then Savageau's going to beat the buzzer here. And the Tigers are going to take a 34-24 lead to the second quarter. If you wanted scoring here in 2025, you got what you asked for.
Oh, yeah. And that's a great, it's a great thing to see, especially when you're coming off of a pretty big 2 losses a week ago. And this is exactly what you want to see, a 10-point lead. Everything seems to be clicking on all levels right now. Turnovers is definitely one of those that they're really happy about. Rebounds is one of those things that's always going to be up in the air, and you're always going to want to emphasize it no matter what. You always want to be on the plus side of rebounds. And, I mean, really everything. If you could have a perfect quarter, it's kind of what this quarter looked like for them. They're 100% from the free throw line. 3-point percentage is obviously lower than Schreiner, but I'm pretty sure it's because they've just taken more. And then field goal percentage-wise, it's a little less, but shot attempt versus what's going in is a little different.
Yep. Our regular play-by-play, Reed Rosales, just texting in saying this beats their previous high quarter, which was also against Schreiner. So an opportunity here. Now the top 2 scoring quarters that they've had on the season, both against the Mountaineers. So something for Schreiner to really work on is trying to figure that out. But I think it really starts with if they can get the ball across half court, you'd probably take away 10 to 15 points there for Trinity, because they scored a lot of points off of easy, quick turnovers inside the paint off the inbounds pass.
No, that's definitely true. I mean, but the same thing can go for Schreiner. I'm gonna be honest, they're kind of shooting out of their minds right now.
Yeah, 56%.
They're shooting really good, and I don't know if that's something that's sustainable.
Yep. I said something similar about a couple of the teams that were in over the winter break, and they ended up shooting near 57% themselves. So it could be, but right now Schreiner doing a really good job of working it around. They're hitting those inside shots, as you see right there from Bradshaw, but they're also kicking it out to the top of the key, and that's where they've been hot. 4 of 7 from downtown so far, but it's been a lot of those top of the key threes that they've knocked down that have really been kind of like, if they don't knock those down, this game's already well gotten away from them.
And Bailey Timmons just got not drawn for the foul, but she just forced a foul.
Draws a foul.
There we go.
And again, Trinity drawing fouls on shooting opportunities, so they'll get back to the line.
Bailey Timmons last week hit career high, and she had 16 points in the first half. That's something you always want to see coming from a veteran senior.
And Trinity's had some pretty big quarters this year, and they've also followed it up with some quarters where they just do not get anything to fall.
Yeah, that second quarter against Illinois Wesleyan is one of those where everything did fall. There was a 5-point turnaround. I think they were down by 12 or 13 at one point, and they really flipped a script and ended up going into that third quarter, I want to say up by 9 or 10, and then extended that lead. But anything is possible in CalGuard Gym.
And still continuing to shoot out of their minds. That'll be Sosa knocking down her second attempt. They've both been from downtown. She's got 6 points. Oh, a nice give and go. And Minter could not get that one to fall.
That's one of those exemplified versions of Elaine King just being an all-around facilitator. Saw that Kylie Minter's defender turned her head, and Kylie just being a quick player, cut back door.
Her shooting just a little bit off here early going, as Timmons will deflect that one away, but it'll be out of bounds back to Schreiner. And you just wonder if it's going to take maybe a half or maybe a full game before Minter starts to really feel comfortable once again. As we said, she missed the game against ETBU.
She was desperately missed for sure. I mean, just as an offensive threat, defensive threat, her IQ of the game was just something that you cannot replace. She's also just fun to watch. It's like little Magic Johnson out there. I think, honestly, the best, we're going female, WNBA player-wise, I'm thinking of like, Tisha Penichiro, if I'm being quite honest, with a lot of her fun passing. There's a photo out behind Cameron Hill's office with her doing a really pretty behind-the-back pass last season. First person I thought of with all that finesse.
Cross-court pass is going to be intercepted here from Sky Thomas, but she'll give it right back. And again, the pressure D of Trinity not relenting even when they commit the turnover. And Sky O'Rourke will put that one in, and she's quickly got 6 points herself.
And she also had a good game against Illinois Wesleyan. Pretty sure she had 21 points, if not slightly under that, but I'm pretty sure it was above the 20 mark. She was a big reason why they stayed in that game and inevitably went into overtime.
Napoli asking for it back, has the lane wide open. She'll draw contact. It should be against Thomas.
I wonder if the Mountaineers are going to fall maybe into a zone. I feel like they're just getting beat off the dribble every time, and if it's not off the dribble and it's off the pass, it's a backdoor cut. So I don't know if that's a transition or a decision that they're going to try and make maybe after a media timeout after this half, but I don't know if it's, I mean, I feel like Trinity's just getting any shot that they want right now.
Yeah, we mentioned how good Schreiner was shooting from three-point range. Trinity 3 of 7, so if you hesitate to go to the zone, that could be why you feel like Trinity maybe start shooting pretty well from outside. But kind of agree. I mean, if you're just going to allow them to have that inside presence, the kick out becomes pretty much wide open every time as well.
Yeah, and then they're just going to the rim. At least one thing that you can stop is immediate drives if you head into a zone. And they've been fouling mainly off of shots inside that paint, off of slashes.
And again, a little give and go. The kick out, Minter for three, and she's got the corner three. And Kylie Minter's got 7. That's a tie for the team high and the game high as well, with Sky Thomas from Schreiner and Josie Napoli, her teammate. Travel here on green.
It's another forced turnover from that Trinity press.
Yeah, make it 11 turnovers now for Schreiner, 2 just for Trinity. 8 steals officially for Trinity now.
Here Cameron Hill keep running it. I'm pretty sure he's talking about this little motion with Elaine King at the top of the key, making her be that decision maker. They're going to call that on the floor.
Yeah, the initial body bump there about 7-8 feet from the rim. So Bradshaw second. And once again, Trinity just driving every possession, driving, drawing the fouls.
We see a lot of their open threes are off of those punctures within the paint. We talk about this inside-out game, and that was what we saw last possession, actually, with Josie Napoli hitting Kylie Minter in the corner, as we see another give and go.
Hit 2 sides of the rim on that one, couldn't get it to fall. Being kicked around, bounced around. Still no jump ball call yet, as two teams are both on it. But they're going to give the timeout to Cameron Hill.
That was a very animated timeout.
You got to make it emphatic.
Oh, yeah. And Trinity's going to get it at the baseline.
Yeah, they'll have 13 on the shot clock.
The rebound count flipped. We're up 2 now. Assists, obviously a little more as we start making some of those outside shots.
Yeah, and the rebound count, Schreiner, as you said, can they continue to keep shooting? They are down just a little bit, 50%, and really have not been contesting their own shots after they put them up. So they've missed a few early on inside.
I think one difference that we see right now, I'm not looking at the stat sheet, but I just feel like second chance opportunities for the Tigers are up right now. And that was one thing last week that was, if not comparable, then ahead by our opponents. I mean, just crashing the offensive boards is just one of those things that's really a tenacity within yourself, and they're really showing it today.
Get a good look at some of the highlights and replays here from the game so far. Again, you see those top of the key threes. And I'm beating the buzzer there to end the first quarter. Those top of the 3 keys and really the outside shooting in general, 5 of 10 from downtown, Trinity 4 of 9. But Schreiner, I think if they really want to get back into this one down 14, it's going to start with playing good defense, but also taking care of the ball to get it across. But keep shooting the threes, and those have been working so far for them.
Oh, yeah.
And Kylie Minter's like, sure, I'll shoot the 3.
She heard you heard. She just heard shoot 3, and she just shot it.
So both teams shooting 50% from the field and from downtown now. And Kylie Minter is into double figures after.
And it looks like Trinity's flipped into a little 2-3 zone.
Yeah, not surprising from Coach Hill here as he leaves the starters in. He usually likes to flip the roster over at the media timeout mark, but with that timeout, taking away the media timeout, he's probably going to let this group run for an extra minute or so under 5. So expect them to maybe depart around 4. So maybe giving them just a slight bit of rest before they have to come make their way out. Maddie Mueller has checked in for Trinity. On a nice inbounds play here for Schreiner as they're going to find Moody wide open at the top of the key. 2 steps, and she slices in for the layup.
I feel like a 2-3 zone is something different from Trinity. They usually play like a 1-3-1 or a pretty sophisticated zone, but that's something new.
New year, new Cam.
He's a pretty superstitious guy. I wouldn't put it past him that he has changed some things. And if he starts it now, he's going to keep it for the rest of the year.
And that one out of play, so Napoli has to come to the spot. She gets that one in without too much objection.
I wonder, is Jimmy a superstitious coach or a superstitious guy? Do you know?
I don't know if he's definitely. I don't feel as superstitious as Cam.
No, no, that's very true.
Knocks that one down. She's got 12.
Cam is pretty, as one of his former players, one of his things is always high-fiving out of the locker room before and after we're coming out of halftime. Some cool stuff, but it's very Cameron Hill.
As Moody knocks down that one for Schreiner. Trinity with a 15-point lead. Yeah, Cam, even with just some of the things that he does on game day, the routine stays the same. As it's going to be Mueller knocking down the three. Tigers already over 50 points with 4 minutes to play here in the half.
That was just a picture-perfect possession. We saw Elaine King get at the top of the key, and then Bailey Timmons found herself with it in that right short corner, gave a baseline drift pass. Josie Napoli punctured the paint, obviously found defense collapsing, and then found a wide-open Maddie Mueller, who is obviously more than capable of making any outside shot, definitely well beyond the arc.
Maddie Mueller for the Tigers, but that was Madison Parham for the Mountaineers. We'll see if Trinity's got another stellar possession for themselves. No, they're just going to draw the foul once again.
Right before.
Drive the lane, draw the foul.
Oh, yeah.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Every possession that they've had down the court within these past maybe 5 or 6, a basket's gone in right before Mueller. It was Kylie Minter who had a short little jumper in the paint.
Well, Minter's got a game-high 12 on 5 of 12 shooting, 2 of 3 from downtown, but her first trip to the line. And the Tigers are now 10 for 10 from the stripe.
We're seeing a little Trinity student section. Some kids are already back on campus, excited to see classes start on the 15th. Obviously, more student athletes are heading back or trickling in pretty soon. I know swim's back on. Basketball's obviously been here. Trying to think of what other winter sports we got going on. Is that it? No.
Yeah, could have tennis.
Tennis is probably back, yeah.
That could be back. Don't know if golf would be back just yet, but should be soon.
Yeah.
Also have the Hardin-Simmons women's team here in attendance, probably just out of view of your screen on the upper left, as they will be in action here against the Tigers tomorrow. So a little pregame scouting.
It'll be good. I'm excited to see this gym fill back up with excitement when the men come to play here too. Obviously, Kerrville's not a far drive from here, so they are going to definitely bring some fans, and obviously our home family will be here as well.
When a game's played like in transition as much as this, does it really benefit you to do any of the like watching and scouting?
I think it would definitely benefit, especially if there are players that have tendencies to shoot early in the clock threes. I remember last year we had Jamie Reedy, who's obviously one of those players that you definitely want to scout. She was one of those players that could definitely pull up from anywhere, and you never know what was going to happen. But definitely scouting. I know transition defense is one of those things that you kind of innately, you know whether or not you're going to do, whether it's a 2-on-1 play, 2-on-3 play, excuse me, 3-on-2 play. But I don't know. I think transition offense is one of those things that you just have to adjust off of, you know, on the play, rather than maybe scouting directly for.
Previous foul on Parham was her first, and Greenwood knocked down both. Trinity remains perfect from the stripe, and Parham comes back and takes the 2 points in her favor that she allowed the last time out. Savageau, kick out. Back rim no good for Saris. But once again, Trinity, relentless D underneath.
That steal was by Jalen Martin. Her shot got blocked out of bounds, but Trinity's going to maintain a possession here at that baseline.
He's got to inbound. You see Savageau there on the lower right of your screen. And everybody else around the top of the key. And Savageau, nice little running left hand underneath for the layup.
Watching her has been really just a pleasure. She plays really smooth, doesn't really force anything, lets the game come to her. Definitely does not look like a freshman out there.
7 points in 5 minutes on 3 of 5 shooting.
She had that buzzer beater in that first quarter, or to end out the first quarter, excuse me.
And a really solid quarter here for Trinity, as we mentioned. They've had some high output quarters, and then they've had some letdowns. Savageau has that one almost fall, but it does not fit inside the cylinder. And rebound kicked around for Martinez. They get it across. Sosa misses from downtown. Nice rebound from Parham. Back to the middle of the paint, and her shot off the mark. Martin pushes now for Trinity. A little lucky on that one. And they feed it inside to Greenwood, who will draw contact.
We're going to see another trip to the charity stripe for the Tigers. They were already in bonus. I didn't check when they got into bonus. Probably, what, like 2 minutes ago?
Yeah, it was about 3 minutes to play that they got into the bonus. And the foul disparity is growing. Trinity does not have any in this quarter, and Schreiner now with 6.
I think that has to partly do with the fact that Schreiner's not getting many shots within the paint or slashing as hard as Trinity is overall. I mean, there's been a lot of punctures through the pass, through dribbling, and Trinity's just making sure that they're getting attempts at the basket.
And if the proverbial hack-a-shack is the shot here with Greenwood, it's not working. She's 6 of 6 from the line. She's got 8 points overall. And Trinity a perfect 15 of 15 here in the first half from the foul line.
Chivi Cáceres, another great defender. She's going to draw a foul from one of the Mountaineers, and she's going to head to the line too.
Yeah, as you mentioned, in the bonus here for the next 73 seconds.
Then
and
shout out.
Rate, they may get about 9 or 10 more tries.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Clark May, one of the ball boys here working for the Trinity Bell Center.
Yeah, wiping up the floor like a pro, and that'll be the Tigers' first miss at the line. Cáceres with 5 points on 2 of 3 from the field. And we'll get a whistle early. And a warning, I believe, to the Schreiner bench.
I don't know what type of heckling was going on there. I don't know if it was from the bench
or if it was from
at the end of the bench.
Yeah, there's no spectator in that area, so it's got to be the end of the bench.
I don't know who it would be or what they're doing.
The worst part is Trinity made that shot, so if they miss this one, it goes in there. It goes in Schreiner's favor, and she does. But Trinity will grab the board and back to the line.
Oh my gosh. How was your holiday break? Wasn't long.
Not long. We were here for, as you mentioned, the women's mini, let's just call it a mini tournament.
Yeah.
3 teams in for that one. 3 games over 3 days, and then, a pretty relaxing festive New Year. Mm-hmm. And then we were back here on Saturday for the men's game against Rochester, and found out today, for those Tiger fans that are listening, as Trinity's now missed 3 in a row from the line, so 2 streaks going for them, 15 straight, and then now 3 missed in a row. Rochester, once they start finals, they are not allowed to even be in the gym until after their winter break is done, which is still not over.
Wow.
So they basically came into San Antonio, saw CalGuard gym floor, and that's the first time they touched the ball in almost a month.
Wow.
As a team. So really weird situation there. But yeah, I don't know if they're completely kicked off of campus, if they've got a place that they could do like a captain's practice somewhere or something. But yeah, really strange situation. But they played Trinity men's team so they could play somebody before starting conference play. Savageau will knock down the running layup, and Trinity 62-37 advantage here now.
I forget. Can we have practice on reading days here?
We typically don't. We
Okay.
like to maintain the fact that reading days are, because it's only 2,
Yeah.
but you get reading days to do everything that you need to do, or and a lot of, at least in my time here, a lot of my reading days were group projects, so it was just
Yeah.
slam packed the entire 2 days of just 2 to 3 hour blocks meeting with this group and then the next group
Yeah.
and everything else. So
What floor did you meet on in the library?
we liked the second floor.
Okay.
Those little rooms there right behind the stairwell.
Uh-huh.
So not too bad.
Okay. I like it. I'm one of those people that has to be in a cubicle or else I'll be talking to people because I'm a people watcher and I'm a chatter. If you don't know, I'm a yapper. So I have to put myself in a cubicle and make sure I'm just hunkering down doing the work.
Parham knocked down the pair of free throws. The foul was on Greenwood. And the lead down to 23. Back to 25 as Carceres now with 7 points.
I feel like everybody on the floor scored. Like
Everybody on the floor currently, except for Green for Schreiner, has points to their name. And we'll be going back to the line. That foul will be on Martinez. It'll be Martin to the line. She's got 1 on the day.
Trying to think if I'm Schreiner, what are some of the things that I'm going to try and change coming into the second half. Obviously, foul count is definitely one of them, but you can really halt a foul count maybe by going into that zone. I don't know if they're pretty headstrong and staying within this man, but I just feel like they're giving up way too many opportunities inside and out just to maybe give a little sense of nuance, maybe flip into whatever defense they have up their sleeve next.
Trinity will take the halftime lead. Oh, nicely done. We said Green didn't have any points. She does now. She knocks down the shot at the buzzer. We've seen 2 buzzer beaters here to end each quarter. And Green knocks down that triple, 65-42. That means Trinity got 31 points in the second quarter. And Reed texting in saying that the previous high that was broken in the first quarter was 28 points. So those are now the highest 2 scoring quarters for Trinity, and the highest 3 overall this season are all against Schreiner. So it'll be something for the team to kind of look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're looking at the last shot. I can tell you for a fact it was good.
Definitely in.
That ball landed well in time. And so with that, we'll take the halftime break. They just confirmed it. So 65-42, and we'll be back here in just a few. And welcome back here to Trinity University as we are just about ready for the start of the second half. And Reed Rosales not here on the call, but it doesn't mean he's not working. Filling us in with the last time Trinity scored 65 points and a half, and that was all the way back in the 2022-2023 season. They scored 65 in a 125-64 win. They did that in the second half. They basically scored more and a half against Schreiner or against Southwestern than Southwestern had the entire game. With 42 points on the board right now for Schreiner, I do not feel that that will be the case here for the Mountaineers. But Trinity with the 23-point lead nonetheless. Same for Schreiner to start us off, and the same for Trinity to start us off. So Napoli, Minter, Timmons, King, and O'Rourke on the Tiger side. Green, Thomas, Parham, Bradshaw, and Moody for the Mountaineers. And 14 points by Kylie Minter leads all scorers, and Moody leads Schreiner with 9. In a highly scored first half, 107 combined points and 20 minutes of play. The Trinity will take possession first. The arrow switch back over to the Mountaineers now. And Napoli from the top of the key, still in the man defense. And
now Kylie's going up for 2, something we saw quite a bit from in that first half. Felt like majority of that time there wasn't really a stop clock unless we were at that free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to lead the game in scoring, it's probably because you got to the line a little bit in this game, and she is 2 of 2 from the stripe. Trinity 17 for 21 in that first half. Just remarkable shooting. Minter will continue the hot hand.
I really am wondering why Schreiner just didn't come out in this second half with the zone. I know that it may not help you, but sometimes experimenting a little bit with how the offense may react is something that you want to just put up there just to see what could come out of it.
And what does not feel like a 25-point game is, as that will stay with Schreiner after Trinity's full court press takes it the full court for the pressure.
And that was their zone press, something a little different from that first half. We saw their pretty much man-to-man press with Bailey Timmons leading that. Whenever they were taking the ball out, she would take that initial pass, and then that third person in that 3 front press would take the inbounder. So in this zone press, you'll see a little box set, so 2 people will start out that press and then move it down gradually.
Schreiner able to get back on D. Napoli missed. And this will be Timmons grabbing the board from the Bradshaw miss attempt. Had some hot shooting early on, and there's a steal by Bradshaw. And deflected out off of Minter as Bradshaw went up for the layup. Trinity won the first meeting of these 2 teams by 18. These 2 teams normally don't play both of their games against each other this early, conclude their series this early. Usually one of the last games of the season for each other, but they will open conference play with 2 games against each other and then call it quits for the rest of the year unless they meet in the conference tournament. Timmons along the baseline finds the inside block, post up, nice little jump layup, and Timmons now has 6.
Bailey's just one of those players that has a really quick first step and knows how to use her body well in the air. Super athletic. I'm pretty sure she's gotten some of the best in-game shots because she can stay in the air forever.
I don't know if Minter handed the ball off to Moody right there on that play out of bounds, but Moody definitely wound up holding it as she jumped out of bounds with Minter. And so
I wouldn't put it past Kylie to do that, if I'm being quite honest.
Here's a gift for you. You hold this.
It's whenever.
Now it's our ball.
It reminded me of like whenever you're in pickup and no one has jerseys on and you say ball and you're the opposing team. That's what it kind of felt like. Sort of those little sly tricks.
And foul down low against Elaine King. It'll be her first. And first foul against Trinity in forever. They didn't have.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and check if they had any in the second quarter at all. They
I think
might
they
have
had
gotten one towards the end.
But it wasn't even on a shooting foul. Like, it was, I think, mid-court by Jivy Cáceres. I remember that one kind of vividly, but I don't think anything went up. Like they, oh, there was two. I remember Natalie Greenwood fouled, and there was
That's right.
on that
Greenwood
left block.
had
Yeah.
And Schreiner's 2 of 2 from the line. Trinity, 23 foul attempts. Schreiner, 2.
Wow.
And this might be one of the few games where you look at it and say it's not because the officials are just missing everything.
No.
It's because where the fouls are occurring are in totally different places. Well, actually, they're all in the same spot.
Yes.
Trinity's getting fouled in the paint, and then they're fouling in their own paint on the inbounds plays if they foul.
I was talking with a couple of the ball boys during halftime, and they said the basket, obviously, on our right side here on the screen, definitely had more action, and he felt like he was always up every possession trying to make sure no one was slipping because there was a couple bodies on the floor. This was also the same side where they started their press, so obviously a lot more action on this side as well.
Great ball movement. We'll wind up with Bailey Timmons getting an easy look, and she's got 8-4 in this quarter.
Feels like this game has been nothing but assists. It's felt like there hasn't been one-on-one or many one-on-one scenarios for the Tigers. It's always been puncture to the paint, kick out to the three, or obviously a little dump pass, as we just saw here with Bailey Timmons and Kylie Minter.
Tigers with a 14-9 advantage on assists, 12-3 advantage on steals. Each team with a block. Mountaineers out-rebounding Trinity 28-24. And that shot, probably looking just to draw the foul with that shot. And
yeah.
no foul called, so that'll be off of Trinity.
I think that was off of the foot of Elaine King.
Moody, near side, now takes it along the baseline, tries to come back up, and should be another block for King. And the foul, I believe, is going to be called down low on King. No, Timmons came over to help, and they'll get her with the push.
Right now, mentality is kind of everything for the Tigers. You're up by such a large number, and you want to make sure that the integrity of your offense and defense is still as strong as when you started at 0-0 in that first quarter. And Elaine King is going to be called for that one as she tried to contest that shot. I think they said they may have gotten her on the hand or wrist when she was going up.
Moody misses the first and makes 1 of 2. .8-point advantage now for Trinity. As we said earlier, it just doesn't feel that way. It feels like this game's more competitive, more back and forth than what the scoreboard indicates.
Well, it definitely felt like that in that second quarter when they started to extend the lead. But it was because there was a couple possessions where they went tit for tat, you know, baskets being scored back and forth between each other. As we just saw Josie Napoli give a great backdoor pass to Sky O'Rourke, who kind of slid behind the defense.
That is excellent ball movement and a needle threaded on that pass as Parham will receive from Martinez. Minter for 3. Kylie Minter's got 19. Trinity's very close to having 4 players on the floor right now in double figures. We're going to get another timeout before the media timeout.
Yeah. When you just look at that turnover count, 3-19, obviously assists are definitely in favor of the Tigers. One thing that's a little surprising, though, is the rebound count. I would have thought that Trinity would have been a little closer, if not ahead. That was something that's a little surprising to me.
Yeah, Schreiner had been up in field goal percentage for a while. They've fallen down to that 39% mark. Trinity's still over 50%.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is when they've had the chance, they've been able to run almost uncontested on a breakaway layup.
Yeah, or you have plays where, obviously we're going to show on our screen right here, Bailey Timmons driving baseline.
Just driving
a couple possessions ago, obviously Sky Aurora kind of hid behind that defense, and then Josie Napoli just found her on a dart pass. So the percentage of those shots going in is definitely much higher in the paint.
And after you drive in, the kick out usually left wide open.
Yeah.
And that's where Minter left us before the timeout.
But the Tigers are definitely clicking on all cylinders right now.
It's one of those games where if you're Trinity, you almost want to say, like, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
But
how do we elevate?
Don't waste everything that you've got for the rest of the year, too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that by any means is this a point where they're peaking, but it's good to, I feel like this is just a confidence booster after what happened about a week ago. But it's where you want to be, especially coming into conference play. It's definitely not a perfect game by any means because there's always things that can be improved on X's and O-wise. You know, maybe coming down. I mean, we see them always in a full court set, seeing what they can do when they have to hunker down and be really confident at the half-court level. You know, that there's games whenever it comes down to having sound half-court defense, and they haven't really had to show that too much this year because they are always in their press. And then obviously things on offense, setting up correctly, making sure that just because the shots are going in, you're making sure that are good quality shots. Obviously, Cameron Hill definitely talks about intention over, you know, outcome all the time. So it's one of those things where you're going to have to make sure that integrity on offense and defense is still maintained.
Martinez called for the tough luck foul. She missed the shot, drifted, and then wound up interfering with the rebounder's attack for the ball. Yeah, it's as Timmons now in double figures with 10, 6 in the quarter. This is the answer Trinity needed after last week.
Yeah.
Particularly the game against Illinois Wesleyan. That game had the opportunity, like, it's hard to say that the answer against ETBU was indicative of where the team might have been.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the same lineup out there, if you're missing somebody who's got currently 19 points in this game, missing that entire game, changes the whole complexity of what you're trying to do.
Most definitely.
But now that you've got the full team back out there, after losing that game against Illinois Wesleyan, it was one of those things where if you're a team that doesn't have a strong leader, strong coaching staff that can get you back going again, the type of coach that maybe Cameron Hill is, where it's like, look, yeah, we lost. Let's forget about this. We'll take what we can learn from it. We'll remember those parts, but we're not going to sit here and sulk about, you know, having a lead, a significant lead against a highly ranked team and then letting it fall apart. It's one of those things where, like, this is the exact response. If you're a Trinity fan, this now gives you hope as you go forward because, as Cameron's always said, what you worry about is what you can control, and what you control is your conference. If you can win all your conference games or win enough to get into the tournament and then play well in the tournament, you're going to get an AQ, and that's the goal for the team, and that's what they're really trying to focus on.
Yeah.
And so to come out and, you know, we looked at Schreiner, we mentioned 2-8 schedule coming in, 0-1 against Trinity to start conference play already. But they've had close games. Hardin-Simmons, who's here tomorrow, they're nationally ranked. They lost to Hardin-Simmons way back at the beginning of the year by 6 points. And that's a really good, I mean, there are no moral victories here, but losing to a Hardin-Simmons team by 6, no matter who is or isn't on the court, is still a quality showing.
Yeah.
And so it's not like Schreiner's a typical 2-8 team that's just, you know, it feels like.
Yeah, they're not losing by huge deficits or large margins by any means. But going back to the Illinois Wesleyan game, I think, and kind of paralleling it back to this game, talking about confidence, where do we go from here? Illinois Wesleyan, 4 out of their 5 starters were seniors, and all of them have been with Coach Maya Smith for 4 years. So leadership on and off the court is definitely one of those things that's inherent whenever you're coming into games where you are ranked so high, you know, in the national polls. So I think that was definitely one of those things that later in the game, it's what came down to. You had a coach on the floor, a coach off the floor, and I really admire them. And I talked to Coach post-game. I just said it was a pleasure, honestly, watching your team after every free throw, before every free throw. They huddled together, especially in that fourth quarter when they tied it and then eventually got that lead. You see on the court, they just had confidence within each other, saying, no, we're fine. Like, we're going to do this. We'll be okay. And they, of course, did it, you know. But I think experience is just one of those things that you can't teach. The intangibles are things you can't teach. And a game like this for Trinity is going to be one of those milestones, a stepping stone, excuse me, that will help them get to that place later on in the season where you want to be peaking.
Ivory Scott and Natalie Greenwood with a couple of layups there for Trinity. Those are fantastic plays for Trinity while you were mentioning. But this is just, right now, Trinity it's not a perfect game.
Yeah.
But this is a game that they should look back to. If they ever get into a situation like that type of a game again,
yeah,
they can now look back to a game like this and say, we have the team chemistry. We have the ability to play as a cohesive unit. We can get back into any game going forward.
Yeah.
And they're setting themselves up for all of that here tonight as the lead is pushed to 37.
Yeah.
And
today just feels like one of those games where they are clicking on all cylinders. And as a former player, it's easy to say the camaraderie is going to be at an all-time high when you are shooting 30 points or making 30 points in a quarter after beating your first quarter season high.
Yep.
It's easy to say that, but when the going gets tough and when shots aren't going in, or when the other opponents have scored 3 or 4 times down the court, that's when, leadership needs to come in, and that's when, camaraderie and trust within each other definitely needs to come in. And I have no doubt about any of that getting stronger and just getting better as these next couple games come in, especially against a Hardin-Simmons game, which is definitely going to be another good one tomorrow.
Wingwood knocks in 1 of 2 off the Savageau foul. And on the court, Caceres, Martin, Scott, Savageau, and Greenwood for Trinity. And Martin too hard off the back for the layup. Kick out Savageau. Back rim no good. Greenwood goes for the rebound, but taken away by Martinez. Sosa, nice little move inside, and then buries the jump shot from about 3 feet away.
It's interesting to see Sosa back on the floor. She didn't play much at the beginning of this third quarter.
One of the top 3 scorers for the Mountaineers, but has been fairly quiet today. A quiet 8 points. Parham on the floor right now also with 8 points. Tiana Murray in for Schreiner wearing number 10. And Ivory Scott intercepts.
She just read that pass like a book.
And there's the ball movement that we talked about earlier. Trinity, when you're in control of a game like this, the ball movement just seems to happen without too much effort.
Yeah.
It just seems like every decision you make seems to be the right one.
Yeah, well, I just feel like a lot of it is letting the game come to you, and they haven't forced much of it during the second half, and especially during the first half. I can definitely count on my hand how many times I feel like a possession has been forced, but everything has just been coming to them, especially in transition. A lot of them are high IQ plays that you're just going to make, especially being around basketball so much. You've practiced these 2-on-1s so many times, 3-on-2 so many times. You just got to convert on them, especially when you get fouled like Javi Caceres just did at the free throw line.
Yeah, she knocked down both. She's got 9, and the score is 84-48. And there will be another turnover for Schreiner. So Reed gets another palindrome that he can't call. Had 2 in the men's game on Saturday.
He always gets so excited to say those.
This is what happens when he doesn't come to the game. Because he'd rather be on vacation.
He's spending time with his family.
That he's rightfully earned. All the good things.
He is deeply missed.
And Greenwood with a nice move inside, but couldn't finish the layup. And Martinez all the way. Kick out. And that'll be to Brooks, who's just checked in. Jumper too hard up off the glass, or too short off the glass, one of the two. Either off the rim or off the glass, but couldn't get the bank shot.
A miss. It's just a miss.
And Greenwood, already in double figures, now kicks out. Ivory Scott for 3. Front rim, no good. Martin might have been over the back.
Yeah, it's in a big figure call it.
Didn't feel like that was going to be a defensive foul.
And now they're in bonus. Little different from what we saw in that first and second quarter.
Still shooting free throws all at this side over here, though.
I know, this ball boy is, he's really not liking it. Do you see any good games from the professional side that you liked?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. My brother called me right after the Rochester game and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I just finished work." And he was like, "Cool, we're going to the Spurs game tonight." So we went
I
and saw
love
the
that.
Nuggets Spurs. Got to see Wimby and Joker, and so
Yeah, on his
Jokic-
21st birthday.
Yeah, on his 21st. Had a almost. The one thing that was frustrating was he got to 20-20, so he had a 20-point, 20
Yeah.
rebound game. Added a few rebounds later, but he had almost like 10 minutes of game time.
Yeah.
Couldn't get to a 21-21 on his 21st birthday.
Ugh,
We
it
were
was
just
one of
kind of
those
sitting there
things.
waiting for it. Overtime game, the Nuggets took over in overtime. So nice in-feed pass from Scott, and even better layup and one opportunity for Saris, and she's into double figures with 11.
Yeah.
Fantastic here.
Oh, that Spurs game was a heartbreaker, especially when they came off of playing in Denver.
Yep.
How much did he have over there? It was like 26 or something?
So I believe the night before he had, 35 and 18.
There we go.
And
I
then
was
he had
off.
a 20 and 22 game. The problem was Jokic basically took over midway through the third
Yeah.
quarter and just was in, that's why he's a multi-MVP and probably the best player in the
This is
on
his
the
day
planet at
job,
this
though. He just does this so he can fund his horse racing. But obviously got them into overtime.
I do love how annoyed by playing professional basketball
Yes.
Jokic seems to be.
Yes.
As
And
Martin knocks down the first. Yeah, it's just like, oh, you're multi-MVP. You've won
Yeah.
an NBA Finals, and you couldn't be more bothered by playing this game at the best level
yeah,
possible.
I was over at one of my best friend's homes, and obviously big Spurs family coming from San Antonio. And I was just imitating him. I probably won't do it on broadcast or else somebody will comment something. But it's just like, yeah, I want to go back home. Like, I just want to go see my horses. Like, I hate this. Why are they making me do this? But obviously got him into overtime. And then, I hate to say this, but we kind of let it go in overtime.
Yeah.
I think Wemby had like 3 turnovers.
Yeah,
I was like, are you kidding me?
Stop making shots.
Vassell had a good game, though. He had a great game. A lot of putbacks. He had a good game coming off of their game in Denver, too.
He did. And I'll tell you, Harrison Barnes is the steal signing, or I forget how that transaction actually came about, but that is the steal transaction of the entire league.
Yeah.
As Martinez knocks down 1 of 2. Scott into the interior, and Mahari's pass out, and it'll be a travel on Trinity with 34 and a half left here in the third.
This is also a time for Trinity to test out a couple of rotations that you want to see, especially coming into conference. You may have a couple instances when you need to see different lineups come into the game.
Yeah, especially, like, as you mentioned, like if you get a situation where you're in foul trouble or have some odd situations, especially late in a game, you don't want that to be the first time somebody's kicking a ball out to somebody that they don't normally play with.
Yeah. Just got a text from one of my friends saying, not you talking about the Nuggets and Spurs mid-Trinity game. Yes, we are. Home of San Antonio. San Antonio. It's all that matters. We're family here. I didn't catch did you watch the Alamo Bowl game, BYU and Colorado?
Vaguely.
Oh, okay.
Like by every time I wanted to tune in, I kept looking, and then BYU was just that much further ahead as Martin back at the line knocking down another. But I also feel that, so Trinity, for those that don't know, during the break, we typically will host, along with UTSA, one of the 2 teams that play in the Alamo Bowl. And so this year we had BYU, and UTSA had Coach Prime and the circus that went
And what's
over
the name
there.
of the 100-year-old woman? What's her name?
Sister Jean.
There we go.
Yeah. So when they were down for the Final Four, and they're going to look at a play here on. They're going to review the free throw, and so they'll take a quick look at that, and we'll kind of be there with them and see what they have to say about what's going on there. But so we get BYU, and I feel like Trinity, we got Arizona last year, and I can't remember everything before that, but I feel like Trinity's on like a 5-year Alamo Bowl win streak.
Yeah.
And Rick Hill, Trinity grad, has been a key implementation of the Alamo Bowl in their marketing department,
and we
doing
have
a bunch of stuff. So
Peyton is also, he was photographer for them this year.
Peyton was up in the catwalk for that whole game. Trinity's videographer here for the athletic department was, if you saw any of the social media came out and saw the bird's eye view from the Alamo Dome, that was Peyton Tebow, videographer extraordinaire.
It's cool. We got Trinity everywhere.
So, yeah,
oh, Miss Peggy. There we go, Miss Peggy.
Yeah. So, every time I tuned into the game, it just seemed like BYU had extended the lead ever further. And so I was like, we had a game that day. So, so I was like, not that I wasn't interested, but after the neutral game, Illinois Wesleyan and ETBU, I think I was pretty much ready to zone out of collegiate sports for a few hours. So
I went to Bombay's that night, and it was just inundated with BYU fans.
That is surprising.
Right? I was like, Bombay's Bicycle Club is a place y'all are heading to right now.
And nice ball movement, and it'll be Sosa.
Sounds like we've had a buzzer beater 3 times in a row.
We'll count that as a buzzer beater. It was under 3 seconds.
It's still with the pressure. Still with the pressure of the clock.
So 90-53, Trinity on top, but we still have a quarter to play. Trinity.
How many points is that quarter?
25 points in that quarter. So not quite living up to expectations, but as a player, as a former player, you get to a fourth quarter like this. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. I don't know, with it being the second conference game, but this might be a situation where you're going to, as a starter, get rested.
Yes, especially coming into a game tomorrow against Hardin-Simmons.
You've got a turnaround game here in less than 23 hours now. Is it one of those situations, as we do see the starters back out there?
Yeah.
I would imagine they're not going to be out there for very long.
I'm putting money on 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
Just to kind of keep that routine feel of like.
Yes. You still need to come out with a standard. And then hopefully within the next second or third lineups that come out, you're going to want to maintain that.
Yep.
But I really don't see the starting 5 playing more than 2.5 minutes tops right now. And then I want to say, I don't know if they will maintain that 3/4 court, maybe full court press. They may settle down back into a half court defense. That may be something we can see here. Yeah, I think obviously they're probably going to break their season high in points right now.
Schreiner's ball. Here we go.
That would be fairly easy to do. Had 90 against Schreiner and a win, 91 against Illinois Wesleyan in the loss. So they need a basket.
Yeah,
and
just one basket.
They got 10 minutes to do so. Sosa from beyond the arc. Front rim, no good. Rebound underneath. And shot back up attempt from Zamora. And J.D. Zamora can't get that one to fall either. Trinity will come across, and the clock is ticking for the starting rotation. Napoli will miss the corner 3.
It looks like they're still setting up in that press.
That is one thing. Coach Cam, like, no matter what the score is not indicative of what they're going to do.
No. You never know what's going to happen with Cameron Hill, I'm quite honest with you.
Sosa knocks down the 3. He was trying to, my view of who shot that was blocked. Waited for that, and now turn around, Sky O'Rourke into double figures. And now it's time to check how many Tigers are in double figures. That's 4 so far. Excuse me, 5. You've got Greenwood, Caceres, O'Rourke, Timmons, and Minter all in double figures. And then you've got Savageau sitting on 9. Napoli sitting on 7. And quite a few on the bench that could get into double figures as well.
Great pass.
That's what they call court vision. And Bayla Timmons will enjoy that one as she's got 12 points on the day.
I just hope that it doesn't fall into one of those games where it's just sloppy defense and offense, because that's just one of those things that you don't want to see. You want to see pretty basketball, plays being fulfilled to their fullest, passes getting around the arc. That was one of those things where you go back to the Illinois Wesleyan game where I feel like there were just so many different stages of basketball during that game.
Yeah.
It felt like no one could, like that ball had oil on it. Like no one could hold it, no one could dribble it, no one could pass it for the first 2 quarters, it seemed. And then it really became pretty basketball in that second half by everybody, especially in that fourth quarter, because it felt like plays were being, you know, executed to full fruition. And obviously,
about a 7-minute run
yeah,
that rivaled any 7 minutes in women's college basketball purely.
yeah.
But for Trinity, the best 7 minutes of back and forth action I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
And that one knocked down by Timmons again. She's got all the scoring, and we are really close to, as Jackie Moon would say, free corn dogs.
What season is this for you?
We are in the I don't remember.
Oh,
how many
gosh.
seasons. I can tell you that I've been at Trinity now for, this will be year 25 roughly, as a student and in various capacities. So
What'd you major in when you were here?
did the business marketing with a communications second, not a full degree, just a second major. But
Okay.
I feel like that's worked out.
I feel like you're using your degree to its fullest, for sure.
One of the rare communication majors that has actually gone into communications.
For sure, for sure.
And parents, if your kids are communication majors, it's wonderful for all works of life.
Yes.
This will be Napoli. She's sitting on 7. Would love to get to double figures, but hasn't been kicked out yet. And Parham will take this one away. She's running down. Didn't look like she wanted to stop, and she'll draw the foul against Napoli. And I believe, so we've got one coming to the midcourt here. That's going to be Greenwood. So it looks like Coach Hill's going to go no change. And you know, after 2 losses coming in off of a losing streak, maybe that's what you feel like is best for Hardin Simmons tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, it's
not letting up.
It's not like with no classes and everything else over the last couple of weeks, it's not necessarily the same as Parham misses the first. It's not necessarily the same as being tired during, let's say, in 2 weeks during conference play, when you've got the, you know, weekend, Friday, Saturday type of games going on, and you've had a full week of class and everything else. So.
Yeah. It's different. All you've been thinking about, I think, for a lot of players, your favorite time is the winter break, because all you're really doing is eating, sleeping, and playing basketball.
You asked how long I've been here. Reed texts me. I've been here long enough to see Jimmy play college basketball.
Oh, gosh. And you played at UMHB?
I statted that game as a student, yes.
Wow. What year was it? Was it last year whenever the UMHB coach also wore Jimmy's jersey? That's a mind game that you're playing right there. Did you also stat Sterling's game whenever he played for TLU, obviously, right?
We were here. Like, we were
Yeah.
already doing Tiger Network for Sterling. I believe as he finished, we were just getting started doing the video broadcast. So
There we go.
So if we look back far enough, we probably have, well, first of all, as Parham knocks down that one, we definitely have the old footage of Jimmy from back in the day on the videotape.
It's on VHS or what?
It was on VHS, and we found a VHS player, and it looks about as you would expect film from 20-plus years ago to look.
Staticky?
Very staticky. We didn't apply any special effects, and that's 9 now for Napoli. Didn't apply any of the special effects, but it just looks like that. Super glitchy, you know, the little play button icon that pops up. Parham from the paint, no good, but she'll get it right back. Uncontested layup and an in, and Parham now with 13. So yeah, thanks, Reed. I felt fine with the idea that it's been a quarter century roughly.
Wow.
But now when you say I've been here long enough to remember Jimmy playing, and that's double figures for Napoli. Make it 6 Tigers.
That's
beyond
funny.
10.
And now you got your son working here too. He does stats sometimes here.
Yeah, we've been
He gets paid in what, Roblox bucks or what is it?
pretty much. And you know, going to take those regardless. But while we are with most of our student staff on vacation, Timmons grabs the board and puts it back in. You know, the education of learning how to do replay.
There we go.
Not beyond anyone. And special thanks to Tyler Wells, Schreiner, working our replay here tonight. And providing all the fantastic replays that you've been seeing during the timeouts and everything else. Learned that system about 2 hours ago.
Okay.
And so, you know, when I say, you know, it's easy to pick up, we've been seeing it. I do want to apologize. I told him we hardly ever get any replay reviews. He's had a few so far today.
Okay.
But from what I've heard, he's handled those with flying colors. So,
Wow.
fantastic.
I loved working for y'all, especially I get to see everybody's family be a part of this. I know that everybody just knows everybody here. Justin Parker's daughter was the announcer in the Leslie Robinson Classic. I think she introduced a couple of the teams. Obviously great. Definitely has vocals like her dad. Good announcer.
And if you go back on all of our broadcasts 10 years ago, you'll probably see the basketball games with Cam's kids looking way different than they do now.
I know, they're huge.
They're huge now.
They're like mini Cameron Hills. I think one of them.
Basically, you know, future D1 superstars out there now.
I know.
But you could see them 10 years ago at halftime, grabbing the ball and going out there and shooting and running around. And
they look like completely different people now. I think the last time I saw them was obviously about a week ago, but before that was a couple months, and they just sprouted, especially the younger one. I just feel like, I mean, he's just crazy. I think he's like 6'4" now. He's just huge, and obviously the sky's the limit for both of them.
a pretty historic lineage there with
Bob Hill. He's actually down there right now. He's behind their bench. So.
no, I guess technically no longer the previous Spurs coach.
No. Well, Pop hasn't stepped down. Let's
Hasn't
calm
stepped
it.
down, but I did see that they had Mitch as listed as like it wasn't interim. It was just head coach. So.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if they've just said this is what we're doing for the year and we'll reassess later. But yeah, it's been a while.
Then since Pop's been in. Last night I was actually watching a bunch of I don't know. I kind of went down a little rabbit hole because I worked for the Spurs camps, and we were at their old practice facility, and I remember I'd seen an old video of Becky Hammond and Pop in that gym, and I went and found the video and obviously went down another Becky Hammond rabbit hole, another San Antonio love. But, yeah, I don't know what it is about San Antonio basketball. It's just different. I think it trickles down into every collegiate family here. It really is a culture that stems from San Antonio.
And that was Moody briefly down. She had just knocked down the last 2 free throws. And seems to be, well, now a little bit of a hobble, but good to see somebody walk into their own power and hope it's nothing serious.
It's our first 100-point game for the Tigers this year. I don't know if we hit one last year, but we definitely hit one the year before that. I think we were in Alabama. Over the 120 mark for sure. No, we were in Birmingham.
Yeah, that game was crazy.
I think Claire Harrell.
Was it 140?
It was 146, I want to say, but don't quote me. But it was a very high-scoring game. Claire Hale had her first 20-point game since coming back from an ACL injury. Addie Putnam, another beloved alumni, also had a 20-point game that day. That was crazy. I remember, this is bad. I remember I gave a behind-the-back pass that game, and it was not fulfilled by Jennifer Tierney. So if she ever listens to this broadcast, I hope she knows I still remember that time because it was a beautiful pass and she could not connect.
I will tell you, all the times that I played and I stopped playing after high school, but all the plays that I remember are the ones that did not connect.
I know.
It's all the passes that you make that you're like, that was the most beautiful, and then
I
you
know.
missed it. Like,
I know.
Thanks.
I know. It would have been one of those plays where.
And on the flip side, I never actually had any of those passes. I'm just in everybody's memories for being the guy that missed the layup
Oh gosh.
on the receiving end
You're
of
like,
it. So.
it would have been great if I would have finished it.
Yes.
That's on me. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I remember we shared a hotel room that season, and I just remember giving her just some trouble. And I was like, I can't say that on air. I was like, I remember just being a little mean to her. I was like, you couldn't make. I was like, out of all the layups, I was like, you made 5 in a row. I was like, you couldn't make the 6th one.
It's like I had a highlight reel tape right there.
I know.
So Murray, Bradshaw, Martinez, Gray, and Willis in for Schreiner, Caceres, Martin, Scott, Savageau, and Mueller for Trinity as we look to close out under 3 minutes now. And this one has essentially been under wraps since halftime.
Yeah, this game's been put away for a while now. Hence us talking about the Spurs and BYU and Colorado.
so if that's not your cup of tea, we apologize for that. It's just, you know, we've still got one more game coming up after this, and I do recommend that everybody stay tuned for the men's game, which will be about 30 minutes after the conclusion of this one. It was set for 7:30. It'll probably be more 7:40, 7:45, depending on when we conclude here. But that one should be dynamic, and they played last on New Year's Eve, and Trinity fell in that one, but it was a back-and-forth affair and included one absolute monster of a highlight reel jam from Christian Green. So we'll see if he's got anything left in the tank for some more. He gave us a few against Rochester back on Saturday. Let's see if he's got anything with Jacob Harvey and the gang as they look to square even with Schreiner in conference play after dropping their contests a few days ago. So 104-63, 2:28 to play. And again, not trying to dismiss what's happening here as Pulley, Mahari, and Hernandez have checked in for Trinity. Good opportunity for various players to get that little bit of experience that could help them. And Scott now up to 9 points.
She could be the next player in double digits as we head into the 2-minute mark. That'll be what, 7?
That would be 7. And Savage has also got 9, but I believe she just sat down. So going off the mark for Mueller.
It's one of those plays where if the layup's too open, it's really 50-50.
Yeah.
You never know if it's too open.
And the foul will be...
I think they may call that because she
Calling
was just
Mahari,
moving back a little bit.
Moving just a little bit of a tilt. And so for Bell Martinez, 4 points on the day, 1 of 3 shooting, getting back to the line, now 1 for 3.
Fans are starting to trickle in for the men's game on both sides. Should expect a good turnout.
You were talking about the Spurs earlier, and congratulations to Caleb Reed landing a pretty fun internship with them.
Yeah?
Another one of our esteemed colleagues here at the Tiger Network has been doing some of our sidelines. He'll be doing a little bit less on well, he'll be doing none of the sidelines on Spurs game days because he'll be working with them, but great opportunity and a role that I had roughly 20 years ago.
Nice.
Doing courtside stats and everything else. And the 3 knocked down from Nipstein. And Nipstein checks in and immediately gets to work, putting her name into the scorebook. And a big 3, because as I talked about Trinity scoring 65 points in a quarter and more than Southwestern scored for that entire game. That now puts Schreiner over 65, so they don't succumb to the same fate.
Yeah. And Ivy Meharry is going to be called on that foul after she attempted a shot on that right block.
So an opportunity now for Schreiner to just put in a few more, draw this one back a little bit more, and keep it under 40. I think that that's deserved. They definitely did not have, in my watching of this game, a 40-point loss.
No.
Although that's what the scoreboard roughly indicates. And so Nipstein once again knocking it down, so a quick 4 and make it 5. Pretty solid shoot. I mean, you come in that cold, 38 minutes of sitting on the bench game time, and you come in and knock down a 3 and 2 free throws. That is pretty solid.
Yeah, 36 points. 36 seconds left in the game. Hope there's no stoppage of the clock. Hopefully no fouls are going to be called.
Mueller still playing aggressive defense.
What position did you play when you were in high school?
And before we get to that, 8 points, Nipstein off the bench. Where is that? Like I'm not going to second guess coaching decisions, but my goodness.
Where was she?
Could have used that 20 minutes ago. I played the 4 in high school, and that tells you about how small my high school was.
Okay.
And I was the 4/5. But that will draw us to a conclusion here. 106-72, Trinity over Schreiner. They're going to move to 2-0 on the conference slate. Schreiner falling to 0-2. And also fall to 2-9 on the season. Meanwhile, Trinity improving and snapping that 2-game losing streak, now going 6-4 on the campaign. They were led today by Kylie Minter with 19 points. Bailey Timmons had 16, 11 apiece for Giovanna Gaceres and Josie Napoli, and 10 points for Sky O'Rourke and Natalie Greenwood, and Ivory Scott and Livia Savageau with 9 off the bench each for Trinity. For Schreiner, pacing the way was Madison Parham, Bree Sosa, both with 13. Tamia Moody had 12, and Schreiner will be back in action against, I'm looking at the wrong one. They will host Concordia on the 10th at 5:30 and then face McMurray at 4 o'clock on the 11th. Trinity, as their travel partner, will reverse those. But we'll have Hardin Simmons tomorrow night, 6 o'clock tip, and then McMurray on the 10th at 5:30, Concordia on the 12th at noon. And the men's team is getting introduced right now as they take to the court. Got 25 minutes on the clock. We'll be back for the men's game. And closing thoughts here for Annika.
Overall, great game for Trinity. It felt like they were clicking on all cylinders, something that you really want to see coming out of a 2-loss weekend about a week ago. Obviously felt like some things were a little different, percentage scoring-wise, around the 3, field goal range, everything you wanted to see. They got to the basket, obviously. Obviously, you got to see some lineups come in that you didn't really see last weekend as well. Great thing to see Kylie Minter back on the court leading like she did against that first game against Schreiner with 19 points. But overall, great game. Didn't feel like a 40-point win, but there was some pretty basketball to be seen, and I'm sure there's going to be even more great basketball to watch as we head into this men's game.
Yep, and you'll need to click off of this one as it concludes. Find the men's link, and we'll be back with you here in a few minutes. Take care.